Who's tilted today? It's your boy No Faces Poker back with another session of 1-2 live in Orange City, Orlando, Florida. We are on the button with 9-7 offsuit. Normally this would just be a throwaway hand, but everybody limps to me, so I like to play the button. And we see a flop of 10, 9 of hearts, 6 of spades. This is not terrible. I have second pair. I have a gutter to a straight, and I have backdoor hearts. So when everybody checks to me, I don't mind a small bet here. And we do see 1, 2, 3 people call, so we have all of the field callers. We do see one guy fold and get out of the way, but we are 4 ways to the turn. 2 of spades doesn't change anything for me. Probably won't change much for my opponents, except maybe some backdoor spades come in. If somebody has some like 10-8 of spades maybe. When it checks to me, I overbet as a semi-bluff. Normally, I should just check back here and realize the equity on the turn. But we do see the small blind go into the tank, and eventually he does decide to put in the all-in for 52. It's only $12 more, so I'm getting an incredible odds here, even though I know I'm pretty much dead here. 90% of the time, he's going to have a better hand than me, or maybe some big heart draws. But I do put in the call, and we go to the turn.
Trips. Unlucky that many times in one session.
9, 10, 6, 2 hearts, deuce of spades, 9 of spades.
I guess he's not.
I don't think he's...
I'm going to take that as he's not coming back. I don't want to ask him.
After posting the last video, I have almost 600 subs, and I'm almost there to my 1,000 sub goal. So I'm on the button with the straddle on. I have 10-7 suited, and when I see one player in the under the gun position open and a player in between call, I don't necessarily mind a call here. I'm probably never going to raise this hand, but I'm getting great odds. And look at that, 9-8 of spades, 7 of clubs. So I flop an open-ended straight flush draw with the bottom pair. I'm loving this. I'm hoping to build a really big pot here. We see the pre-flop raiser continue for 25. And we see the player in between calls. So now there's $127 in the pot. I think a strong case could be made here for just flatting and seeing what the turn brings. In this case, though, I decided to go for the 4x raise on the button to 100. I'm hoping that if they do call, that I'm still going to have a ton of equity against a lot of big pairs and a lot of other draws. But we see both players fold, and I take that one down. A few hands later, the straddle's still on. We see one of the blinds call, and I am in early position with ace-5 suited. I don't mind an open here. 4x is totally fine. Given how early position I am, I'll tend to open smaller. If I'm in later position, I'll open bigger. We do see a call from the button and from the small blind, so we are 3 ways to the flop. Hopefully, this is a good one. King 5-2 with 2 diamonds. It's not too bad. I mean, this is probably good from a range perspective. I am going to have a lot of kings in my range. This is, you know, I don't actually have a good hand here, though. So I see bet 25 when they check to me, and they both snap muck. Take that one down without contest. At the end of the same orbit, I'm on the button with the straddle this time. We've seen 3 players limp, and it gets around to me. I have jack 5 of clubs. I'm just going to check. There's no reason to raise that. But look at that flop. Jack 9-5. I flopped 2 pair. There are hearts on the board, so when everybody checks to me, a bet here is mandatory. I make a 10. I think looking back on it, I'd like a bet of 20 because I think any hearts are going to call. I think a lot of Jack X is going to call. And, you know, I think even some other 2-pair combos, like maybe 9-5, if somebody happened to have that, they would call. We do see a call from under the gun 1, and with the turn of 4 of spades, it's not really going to help his range at all, I would think. But he does donk jam for 32, so that's surprising. I have to check again, like, did I actually have 2 pair? Yeah, I've got 2 pairs, so I'm going to put in the call here, and I'm going to fast roll my 2 pair. With the river being an 8 of diamonds, none of the draws get there, and he does table ace-9 of spades, so he turned the spade draw and decided to get it all in, and I won the run out for about $98. Next notable hand in the session, I'm in the low jack with queen 10 of spades with nobody opening in front. I don't mind an open here myself. I definitely want to build a pot when I have cards that can flop super well multi-way and can stack people when I make royal flushes, if that'll ever happen. I don't think it will. But we do get a call from the loose aggressive player on my left and from the big blind. So we're 3 ways to the flop. Ace 8-5 with only 1 spade. This isn't that great for me specifically, so when it checks to me, I don't necessarily mind to check through. Now, I do think that when the big blind checks here on the jack turn, it reduces the number of aces that are going to be in anybody's range. The loose aggressive player on my left would have bet an ace if he had an ace. I make it 15, and all of a sudden, the lag on my left clicks it up to 40. So what does he have? You know, Unfortunately, I know that he can put it in with a semi-bluff like a king, but I don't have a king myself, so I don't mind a fold in this spot. Time heals all wounds, and a little bit of time has passed. I'm on the button again with the straddle. I have ace-8 offsuit, and when nobody raises to me, I think a lot of times I'm going to have the best ace here, so I don't necessarily mind playing defending my button straddle a little bit aggressively. I see a lot of players at 1-2 playing very weak straddle strategies, and that is not me. So I make it 35, and we get a call from under the gun. So we're heads up to the flop. Ace-7-6. This is a good flop for me. Like I said, I'm sticking to the plan of him not having a stronger ace. So I'm quite surprised when he donk bets for 35, and something tells me this is a little off. I decide to put in the call after hearing lamb shit in my ears, and we see a turn, a jack of clubs on the turn. I don't think this is going to help his range that much unless has something specifically like 9-8, and he still hasn't gotten there yet, right? So he donks again for 55. I'm still working on the theory that he is just bluffing me here. You know, he is a loose, aggressive player. I've seen him run some pretty crazy bluffs so far this session. We do see a queen of spades on the river. So what does he have? Does he have king 10? Was he starting a bluff line with king 10 from the flop? I very much doubt it. Does he have a stronger ace? Probably not. Does he have something like 9-8? Yeah, he's got a lot of 9-8s in his range here. He's got a lot of 10-8s in his range.
Oh, gentlemen,
Two pair.
Queen Jack.
I'm sorry, dude. That was terrible. I'm sorry.
So he started a bluff line with queen jack of hearts and gets there on the river.
I didn't look at it. I didn't look at it. Run it. I didn't look at it. I didn't look.
Check.
Jack. I didn't look.
Check.
Jack.
Check.
Jack.
Ace king.
Oh, two pair, man.
Two pair. Get out of here. Jack 5 ace 8 deuce. I can do anything I want.
How much?
How much should I bet?
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's bet 25.
You had a hand to bet $25?
I guess so.
Huh? The call.
Be mad if I win.
Oh my goodness. I checked up.
I'll be furious.
I'm weak. I checked.
I'll storm out.
I had to check, man.
25.
Check. The dog. 50 in the dog. Oh. Yeah, like a 300 something. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
That's the nuts, man. That's the nuts.
Next notable hand of the session, I've got king queen offsuit in the cutoff with a few players limping in front. I don't mind opening up here, and I typically will size up if I have several players who've already limped. We do see a call from the button and a call from the loose aggressive player on the other end of the table, as well as the player on my right. So we're 4 ways to the flop, and there's already $75 in the pot. We get a 4-4-3 rainbow flop. While this doesn't necessarily favor my range, it probably won't favor anybody else's either. So when it checks to us, I don't mind checking, hoping to improve. We do hit a queen of hearts on the turn, so that's nice. Now I think it's time to fire, and I'm hoping to get called by a worse queen, maybe queen 10, queen 8, queen 9, something like that. We do see the button player fold after I put in the bet for 25. This is only, you know, a third pot bet, multi-way. That's perfectly reasonable. But unfortunately, we see both of the other players fold, and we do take down a sizable pot. If you're enjoying the content so far, hit the sub button for me, hit the like button for me. It helps me out a lot. I've got 4-3 offsuit in another bomb pot, And look at that board. Ace 4-3, strong interaction. Two pair, bottom two pair there. Jack 7-3 on the top board. Anytime you have interaction with both boards in a bomb pot, that's a really good thing. I don't mind playing these aggressively. Most of the bomb pots you're just going to completely miss and just fold. It's no big deal. You're trying to make it all back on the ones where you have something strong. So we see a player open to 20 on the other end of the table and a player between call. I raise it up to 80, which I think is totally reasonable. You know, it's 4x. There's one caller, right? So you might do like 3.5x plus whatever, how many calls you get. We do see a cold call from the Lojack on my left. That's kind of surprising. But you know, now I'm hoping, okay, maybe if we can get another player in here, if we get 3 players in, then we're going to chop a lot. We're going to chop the third player's money a lot. We do see a tank from a player on the other end of the dealer, and, you know, he's thinking it over. Eventually, he does put in the call, so I'm happy to see that. So we have both the Lojack and the Hijack in there with me, and then we see everybody else fold out of the way. So we are 3 ways to the turn. I love that. We do get a 9 on the bottom and a 10 on the top. This doesn't improve my hand at all, but it's probably not going to make the bottom board that much better for my opponent unless they have specifically something like ace-9. I mean, if he's already has me beat dead with like ace-4, ace-3, that's just going to be a cooler. I do jam it all in for 173, and he snap calls the Lojack. The other player folds out of the way. I table, and he's like, I have a straight on both boards. And I'm like, no, you don't. Stop it. Knock it off. You don't have a straight on both boards. He's got the 5 deuce, right? The 5 deuce. So he flopped the straight on the bottom board, and my aggression paid off there because it did drive the other player out, and I managed to win with just a pair of 3s on the top board. So that was by the skin of my teeth. Next noteworthy hand of the session. I've got the second best hand in poker. American Airlines. Ace-ace. I love it. I'm in the big blind. I had 1 field limper, so I raise it up to 12. We do get a call from both the limper and the small blind. So we're 3 ways to the flop with $30 in the pot. We get a king-9 jack flop with 2 hearts. When it's checked to me, I think a c-bet here is perfectly reasonable. I'm going to have a lot of kings in my range here. I'm going to have a lot of jacks in my range here. We do see a fold from the under the gun player, so we're heads up to the turn. I'm liking how this is shaping up. There's already $70 in the pot. Unfortunately, the 10 comes on the turn, so a queen would make a straight. When he checks to me, I don't mind the check back for pot control, and we do see the 3 of hearts on the river, so this does bring in the front door flush. He bets 40 into 68, so a little bit more than half pot. A lot of times that's going to be a thin value or a bluff, so I don't necessarily mind putting in a call given that I check the turn. And he does table jack deuce, so it was a little bit of a stab bluff on the river, and I win a $148 pot, which is pretty great for pocket aces. It's only 2 hands later in the session, and I'm on the button straddle again. We see 3 field callers, or limpers. I have 9-8 of hearts, and I think I can raise here for isolation. A lot of times people limp, fold, and straddles when they're facing big button raises, so 35 is what I would consider like the minimum cutoff. I typically will add the $5. I'll start at like 25 and then add 5 for every caller behind. So, you know, it's not going to work. This kind of like bluff line is not going to work if you're only, you know, betting the button like $20. They're just going to all call. But we do get 2 calls, both from the big blind and under the gun 1. They both check to me on a king jack 3 board. This is going to favor my range. It's obviously missed my actual hand, but I put in a c-bet here, $40 into 100. That's fine. You know, I could probably put 35 in case they jam over the top. I'm going to just obviously snap fold. But, you know, I'm hoping that any 2 pairs or any sets are going to raise off right here, and any middling to weaker hands might call. So we do get 1 call from the big blind. I'm thinking he might have a king, maybe a weak king like king 10. We do see a queen on the turn, so anything other than ace 10 is going to have a hard time holding up to the pressure. So I am going to put the pedal to the metal here, and I put him all in for 125. And, you know, anything other, like I said, anything other than ace 10 is going to fold, and he does end up putting in the fold. So I take down a pretty chunky pot with a pretty big airball bluff on that one, and I'm happy to get that one through. A few hands go by, and I've got ace 10 of hearts in the hijack with 1 limper in front. I am going to open to 15. You know, my opening size is always dynamic. It's based on the table vibes. If they're calling with worse when I'm betting 10, 12, 15, I'll start ramping up the amount that I'm raising to get one caller at even bigger amounts, 20, 25 sometimes at 1-2. It's pretty nuts. He does call, the Lojack calls. We have a 7-6 deuce. This board is not really going to favor either of our ranges. It's dry but dynamic. It's likely the next card will change the nuts. When I bet 20, he calls, and the turn is a king of hearts. He checks to me. This is a great card to double barrel because I can represent a ton of king X here, right? A lot of king queen would see bet. A lot of ace king would see bet. A lot of king jack, king 10, those types of hands, right? So he checks, and I put in a $50 bet into 60, and he puts in the fold, and I'm happy to win that one without contest. A few hands go by, and the straddle is still on with the button on my left. I have 6-3 of spades in the cutoff. I decide to limp, and I do actually manage to get that one through. So we are 3 ways to the flop. Ace, jack, deuce. This is obviously not helping my hand at all. So when it checks to me, I check. I can't credibly represent an ace here because I didn't raise pre-flop. We see a 4 of spades on the turn. Now that's kind of interesting because it does open up a gutter to a straight, right? So when the low jack bets 10 into 15, I put in the call. I just want to see what's going to happen on the river. I probably could bluff him off on a lot of rivers if he doesn't bet very big, or if he checks, I could bet big. He does end up checking, but look, I hit the 5, so I've made a backdoor straight. So if I'm going to get any value from this, I need to keep the bet on a small size. He's just never going to have a super strong range here, given that he checked the flop and then bet small on the turn. So 15 into 30 is okay. 15 into 33, it's about half pot. A lot of aces would get curious here. Some jacks would get curious, but he does fold, and I take down a small pot. All right, the next hand that's interesting, I've got king queen offsuit in the low jack with nobody opening. I make it 15. Like I said, this has been a loose splashy table, so I am still getting action even on slightly bigger sizings, opening sizings. You know, if you fold a lot, you can open a little bit bigger if the table's splashy, and they'll still call you. We do get one call from the button, and we see a flop ace, ace 6. So that's going to probably be a little bit better for my range. I am going to bet here 15 into 30. Now, sometimes I probably should be checking with some frequency, looking to check raise as a bluff or check raise for value. We do get a call, and then the turn is a 9 of diamonds. At this point, I decide to pump the brakes. I check, and with him betting 20 into this pot, I'm drawing pretty slim. I mean, if he's got pocket 8s, pocket 7s, pocket 10s, it's going to be pretty hard for me to spike an overcard there, so I don't mind the fold. Moving along, we are in the cutoff with ace 10 of spades with one limper in front. I elect to make it 10. I think this is probably a little too small given that I'm in later position. I'm going to have a lot of advantage, a lot of late position advantage. And we do get 1, 2, 3 calls, so we're 4 ways to the flop. Unexpectedly, you know, that's why I need to bet bigger if I'm going to open. We see king, king, deuce with only one spade. There's not a lot going on here for my hand specifically. So, you know, I think I probably could check back sometimes and hope to improve on the turn. I don't necessarily want to start running a multi-way bluff in this spot, so I do check, and we do pick up the 7 of spades on the turn. So now I've got the nut flush draw. So when the big blind opens for 12 into you know, a $30+ pot, it's a little bit less than half pot. I think I could probably peel one here with some frequency. You know, if I spike a spade on the river, I might not always get paid, but I do have pretty good equity even against some random king X here. But if he has an air ball, I do have 2 overs as well. So I do call, and it's just heads up. We see 8 of diamonds on the river, and he puts in a $30 bet, and I snap fold. Now, I think sometimes I probably could consider bluff raising here, but I don't like to bluff unless I've been able to tell my opponent twice that I have a better hand. He does table the 6-3 airball bluff, so I'm going to make a note of that for the future and call him a little bit lighter. All right, if there was one hand of the session that I could take back, it probably would be this one. We see a straddle again. We see one player in between calls. So when it gets to me and under the gun, I have king jack offsuit. Now, face cards are pretty, but when they're not suited, they're not that strong. Instead, I do decide to open to 25. Like, okay, maybe I'll isolate to the blind players who limped. But we do see a call from the loose aggressive player on my left and a call from the airball bluffer on the other end of the table. and then we see an all-in from the big blind. So he limped all in. He limped a straddle and then went all in. This is always strong hands, right? It's $42 for me to call here, so into a $123 pot. So I'm getting pretty good odds, but King Jack offsuit is kind of a trash hand. If I call, it's going to incentivize the other players to call or maybe even squeeze, and I'm going to be out of position with offsuit face cards where a lot of like ace kings got me dominated, a lot of like queen jack could have me dominated, and it's just not necessarily a great spot for me to be in. But I do put in the call, and I do see a call from the player on my left. So this pot is already getting very bloated. I'm going to be multi-way out of position, and then the guy on the other end calls too. So it's a $250 pot. I've got king jack. Oh, I need a killer flop. I need like king jack, right? This has got to go my way, right? Let's hit it. No, queen jack 9. That's not so great. I've got second pair. It's a fairly wet dynamic board. It does check through though, and we see the 8 of spades on the turn. So now any 10 makes a straight. I don't mind checking here again out of position to evaluate. I mean, I've got second pair on a 4-liner to a straight board in a multi-way pot. Am I ever good here? We see the under the gun 1 player on my left bet 75 into a dry side pot. Is he ever bluffing? I mean, what's the bluff that he's running here? Like he you know, it's a 10. I mean, if he's bluffing with like 2 pair, he still has me dominated, right? So player on the other end folds. I don't necessarily mind folding here. I did keep the tape running because I'm going to see a showdown no matter what with the player all in on my right. When we see a blank on the river, the player on my right tables ace 10. So he did spike the straight, and the player on the left mucks, obviously. He probably had something like a random queen X. Next hand of note, I've got king 9 of diamonds in the hijack. With one player limping in front, I opened a 10. Now, probably on a loose splashy table should play a little tighter and open a little bit bigger. Instead, I make a 10, so we do get a call for 1, 2, 3 players. So we are 4 ways to the flop. This might as well be a bomb pot, right? Jack 10, 7 with 2 hearts and a diamond. So I've got a gutter to a straight, and I've got a backdoor diamond draw. I don't necessarily mind a half pot bet here as a semi bluff. Obviously, if they go crazy and 3x or 4x bet back, I would fold, but we do see just a call from the big blind and the player in between folds. So we're heads up to the turn, which is an 8 of diamonds. So I spike a straight and I have a backdoor flush draw, right? So in this case, you know, what is this range? He's going to have some heart. He's going to have some kind of crippled jacks. He's going to have some small pair here, maybe a 10x at some frequency. So I should be betting small, like $20 maybe would be the right amount. Instead, I go for a pot size bet. I'm swinging for the fences here, guys. You know, hopefully he calls. You know, if he's got hearts, he might call like an ace of hearts. Would think about calling here at some frequency. But also, you know, his relative stack size, I think he matters in this case. I think he only is playing like 200 in front. He does put in the fold, and we take that one down. All right, that's going to wrap the session. I was in for 300, out for 440, with $140 profit over 3 hours at a net hourly gain of about $44 per hour. Please like and subscribe. See you next time.